Welcome back to the warm up, everybody. I'm your host, Ja. Joining us today is Ronnie. Ronnie, how you doing?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on, Ja.
Yeah, of course, Ronnie. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe on the video. Turn on that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the warm up. We have our new social media followings on Instagram and Twitter as well. Please follow both of those so you never miss an update on how we react to the NBA as well. And then we have our new podcast feeds up wherever you get your podcasts on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. So yeah, let's get into it. Our topic today will be the Dallas Mavericks, an organization that's been in the news the past 10 months for a variety of reasons, but they finally did it. They fired Nico Harrison, all because the tweet heard around the world. Um, a pretty crazy night, honestly.
For
As
sure.
a
For sure.
as a Lakers fan, the Lakers had just beaten the New York Knicks. We were super happy. We were running on a good high. 80 wasn't playing, but they had a good motion, and then this hits. So Ronnie, tell me what happened when this tweet dropped.
When this tweet dropped, I was asleep. Uh, yeah, I'm Central Time Zone, so it was late night here.
Hmm.
Um, and I woke up to it and I was like, wow, this cannot be real. Uh, like you don't see a player of Luka's caliber and age traded very often. Those are franchise guys that you tend to hang on to. So this is one of the bigger sports transactions of our NBA lifetime.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I would even go to say it's probably the biggest trade of our lifetime, regardless
Right.
of sport. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
just one of those things you just thought coming off a finals run and Western Conference Finals run, like
Yeah.
2 years before, you just thought they would have wrote it out. But yeah, let's talk about the trade itself. When the trade happened, a lot of people saw, in a way, Nico's vision, whether they agreed with his process or not. Um, yeah, let's talk about AD being a Dallas Maverick and the process behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of Nico's comments immediately following the transaction were uh, people took notice, kind of like
Yeah,
the defense wins championships mantra. And like if that was the vision, it makes sense why you would target someone like AD. He's
yeah,
one of the better two-way superstars we have in our league. Can impact all aspects of the game, offense, defense, whenever he's on the floor. It's just kind of lately that being on the floor part that has hurt him a little bit, but you could definitely see why he would be the centerpiece of a deal like this. Um, I think one of the things that frustrated Mavericks fans and basketball fans in general is it seemed like Nico had a little bit of a hyper fixation on Anthony Davis specifically.
yeah,
And, you know, it seemed like he really only wanted to deal with the Lakers for Davis from the beginning.
yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I feel like the knock on the whole trade is the process behind it.
For sure.
You can be done with Luca. You could call him fat. You could say he's not Kobe, Shaq, LeBron, all the other
Mhm.
names they listed when they try to justify it. But a player of Luca's caliber, you have to advertise it. This isn't a deal is done under the table, that's
For
kept
sure.
secret. If you're gonna do a trade, if you're gonna trade away Luka Dončić, you better make sure you get everything you can get and the best deal you can get
For sure.
possible.
Yeah.
And he just didn't. He just didn't.
Yeah. I mean, like you saw what he was targeting in
Hmm.
this deal. Like we said, he wanted a two-way player, someone who was more reliable on defense. He had Nico had quote unquote problems like motivating Luka, whether it was weight or there's the famous clip of him taking the beer after they were after
Yeah.
they're in the conference finals game. But yeah, it's so you can understand like the ideology behind it, but I would argue that there were better targets out there, even with the criteria that Nico was working under.
Mm,
Like we talk about kind of where Giannis is right now,
yeah.
like how he's kind of flirted with the idea of being out of Milwaukee. Like if you were going to trade Luka back then, like that would have been a call to make, not that Milwaukee would have traded Giannis, but it's just like you have to exhaust every opportunity. You have to make people tell you no, and really see what you can get for a player of Luka's caliber. And AD is a great player, but you would think you'd be able to get a little bit more than Luka, Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick for Luka Dončić.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I mean, it was rumored that they had called Milwaukee and that they had called the Timberwolves. Nobody ever confirmed or denied it. So
right.
I tend to lean on the side of he never even entertained it.
That almost seemed like a little bit of a cover up after the fact. Like, oh, I checked around and this is what I found. But
no, yeah, and I just let's say he really wanted 80, right?
Right.
Let's say he only wanted to deal with the Lakers. Like the fact that he didn't get Austin Reeves, a player who this year's breaking out before our eyes.
Yeah.
They didn't get every first round pick. Like he should, if he wanted to only do a deal with the Lakers, he had to do a deal where the team was so bad when Luka got there that would have taken them 2 to 3 years just to rebuild.
Right.
And he just didn't.
Yeah. He should have asked for everything that they had to offer, and then 2 or 3 first round picks on top of that. But you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and unfortunately, it's led to some bad vibes around the team this year. They got off to a slow start, and eventually the separating between him and the organization.
Yeah. So before the trade happened, let's revisit just some of Nico Harrison's acquisitions, because as bad as that trade was, and it's an all-time what if type of thing. His regime was pretty good until that point. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, he starts off like in the 2021 season that summer, and like the very first thing he does is re-sign Luka to a 5-year, $207 million deal. So kind of ironic, like that's his first like splash move when he takes control. But then like they do the Porzingis trade, and they just kind of go through like a little reset. And I say reset, and they actually end up in the conference finals that year. Nico's first year under power, they end up in the conference finals. And then I know you have a couple of transactions you want to talk about. So I'll let you kick it off. Talk about Kyrie.
So they go to the conference finals. They lose, and then they end up having this weird tanking year where it's not. Or then the following year they have this weird kind of tankish year, and they end up trading their pick with OKC, Case and Wallace for Derek Lively. End up being the lob threat Luka's been begging for. He doesn't really like to play with poppers, and then they hit the ground running. This is a team that hanged around the 4 or 5 seed for most of the year, and then the trade deadline comes up, and Kevin Durant gets traded to the Phoenix Suns, or actually Kyrie gets traded before Kevin Durant, but the Nets were blowing it up. And the trade was pretty good. They gave up DFS, a 3-and-D player who they valued a lot. Don't get me wrong. And then just Spencer Dinwiddie. And they got a discounted Kyrie Irving, a motivated Kyrie Irving, and a really good move. They end up fizzling out. And then they get Derek Lively. Yeah, I had that back.
Right. Yeah.
Then
they get Kyrie. They miss the play-in, and then that summer is the one. Yeah, you're right, where they go get Derek Lively.
Then they get Derek Lively, and then they're a good team. Like everyone's like, can this work? Can it not work? Because they didn't make the playoffs. And then come trade deadline.
Also important before we get to the trade deadline. Important. December of 2023. Is when the sale finalizes from Mark Cuban to the Patrick Dumont family.
Wow. And that looks even bigger today than it did back then.
So that's just if we're getting our timeline right. They pick Derek Lively in June or July, and then that following December is when the sale goes through, and then we get to the February trade deadline of 2024, where we're going to talk about your two guys.
Yeah, so they get to that trade deadline, and then it's rumored they really want Kyle Kuzma, and Kyle Kuzma denies the Mavericks, ironically, and then they end up trading PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Two trades when they happened, nobody thought really of it. They knew they were two upgrades for the Mavericks. I know a lot of people thought they gave up a lot of future capital and they didn't control their picks, but it was kind of an all-in trade without being an all-in trade type thing. And ended up paying off. They went to the finals that year. Nico Harrison had figured out how to build a team around Luka, what it took, and everything was amazing, right?
Yeah. I mean, when like Daniel Gafford drafted by the Bulls, so I watched quite a bit of Daniel Gafford back in the day. Always liked him as a player, clear upgrade over Rashawn Holmes at the time. Yeah. And then PJ Washington, the Grant Williams thing didn't really work out in Dallas. He was great when he was a Celtic, but then never really found his footing in Dallas. And so it was kind of time to pivot off of him, and they picked a really good target in PJ Washington and immediately helped the team in that playoff stretch.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I knew PJ was a good player. I always thought he'd be good on a good team, a contender, but I didn't think he had that 3-point paralysis like he showed throughout the playoffs and he's continued to show since. So really good trade.
No doubt.
And then so they lose to the finals. Everyone's like, Luka, you're fat. Woo. We don't like you. You're out of shape and you don't play defense. Woo. All right. Started their big offseason acquisition. I would say it was an addition by subtraction. So to get Klay Thompson, who they signed a 4-year deal to, they couldn't re-sign. In doing that, they couldn't re-sign Derrick Jones Jr., which in my opinion was a huge loss because, I mean, I feel like I'd turn on the TV and Derrick Jones would be catching some crazy lob from Luka, and it was just a highlight, and it was just amazing, and it was fun. So they traded there. They lost him and got Klay, and a deal that, I mean, at the time people thought was pretty good. The idea of Luka and Kyrie doing their thing, and then having Klay in the corner just to shoot 4 to 5 wide open threes a game, pretty good. Right. I like the process behind that.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to surround Luka with as many shooters as you can. He's going to find them when they are inevitably open, when he gets doubled on drives to the rim. So Klay is, a good fit there process-wise. I think 3 years, $50 million, like people were starting to question, is that like a little bit too rich for like where he's at in this stage of his career, like kind of regressed as a defender a little bit, but it wasn't egregious by any means. You know what I mean? It was, you could definitely see like what the thought process was behind that one.
Yeah. And, just for, a guy that loves defense, he traded away like the guy that guarded Shea or he got rid of the guy that guarded Shea and all the other players and Drew Holiday and Derek White, and he brought in Klay Thompson. That's just a little side note. And then we get to the big Luka trade, and it's like this big implosion, and the rest is history, right? And so here we are today. 1 sec. The Mavericks
4-11.
4-11.
Yeah.
I think they're 13th in the West.
Yeah, not great. 2-8 since AD goes down with that injury.
AD's out. He's not playing. And I think to add insult to injury, Luka Dončić is an MVP candidate right now. He looks amazing for the Lakers.
He's on the short list for sure.
And so we're there with that. But AD gets hurt. And so now Nico's gone. We have a brand new owner. What's next? Where do we go from here?
Well, it's kind of tough because, like you said, they let go of Nico. They have an interim, general manager, president of basketball ops like situation going on. And it's very, very early in the season. Like this interim, he's going to have to deal with all sorts of like trade talk on this deadline.
Yeah.
And like the easy target is say, okay, AD's making like 30% of the salary cap, 54 million. And that deal is, he's got a couple years left on that deal. So try to pivot off of that money, salvage whatever value you can. He's supposed to come back in the near future, but Kyrie's going to be out for the foreseeable future. And so like you really probably can't salvage this. You might be able to be like a play-in team, but I don't really think you're heading toward any meaningful playoff run. So at that point, what are you really doing? You have Cooper Flag on the roster, just kind of pivot and maybe enter a rebuild.
And I think that's exactly what I do. I think when the trade happened, we thought fully healthy, Kyrie comes back, maybe they're middle of the pack and then they go on a little run. But the reality is they're not that. But they do have Cooper Flag. And I think they need to go all in on that. Because Cooper Flag coming into the draft, must hit prospect, amazing, no outside noise, shows up to work, good kid, 18 years old, right? Go into that. You have that, the whole 2 timelines, and we're going in this year. It's just not in the works. And I think for a team that specifically traded these picks for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, they don't have one for the next 4, or they don't control it for the next 4 years. Let's build around Cooper Flag.
Yeah. And it's not like this team definitely did want to compete for a playoff spot this year. Like they had no vision of coming into this year and starting a tank. I do think it's important to note that. And I even kind of think Dumont was going to let Nico Harrison ride this year out until we got here and he saw that fans were still upset even after a summer away to like kind of settle down, but that didn't happen.
And
so
getting the number 1 pick.
And getting the number 1 pick. Yeah. So I think that the situation they find themselves in at like today is a little bit unexpected for like what they thought they were going to be going into the year. So, but the thing is that the roster does have talent up and down, and like Anthony Davis is a talented player, injury concerns, but talented player. Kyrie Irving, talented player. Klay Thompson, it might be a little bit harder to find a suitor for him. Good news, he's not making a ton of money. You're under that 20 million mark. Daniel Gafford, in the prime of his career, could help a contender. The guys I think you keep, Cooper Flag, obviously, Max Christie, actually, 100%. He seems like he, is a pretty good contributing rotation NBA player. So that was a good pickup as part of that trade. And then you have Lively, who has gotten off to a bit of a slow start so far. He's been injured to start this season. I think he's only played in 6 games, including tonight's game against the Knicks. So you want to see him get healthy, get back into shape. But I think those are kind of the 3 you really have to work with, Lively, Flag, and Max Christie. Everyone else should be expendable. Like if someone calls, you should be listening if you can see if what you can get back in return. PJ Washington, the one note is he is actually ineligible to be traded this year just due to the timing of his signing this past offseason. So he's going to be around at least until the summer. But everyone else, you pretty much take phone calls and see what you can get.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. Nico, yes, his time is gone and it's time to move on. And I think they just need to figure out what Cooper Flag needs around them. They're in the evaluation stage, how to win a championship with Cooper Flag. I didn't hate Jason Kidd letting him run the point, because I think eventually if he wants to be any type of player that we think he needs to be, he has to at least bring the ball up. Now, to do it full time that he's never
Yeah.
done it is kind of messed up,
I,
right?
I was gonna say he didn't seem like he loved it 100%. I think
Right.
there was he was showing quite a bit of frustration with how that experiment was going, but that's kind of Jason Kidd's thing, man. He did the same thing with Giannis when Giannis was younger, and so I think he is trying to foster that same like growth environment for Cooper as they had for Giannis back then. But it's going to be interesting to watch throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I know it's rough now, but I promise you it's gonna pay off in the next like 3 or 4 years. Like it'll look good. But like you said, like I think you take calls on everybody, even Kyrie Irving, who you guys just extended. Everybody's available besides I agree with you. The Max Christie's, the Cooper Flags, Derek Lively. He's been a little injury riddled, but you keep him because he's so young and he's on a good contract. Everybody else you could take a call on. I don't know what you'll get for like Klay Thompson, maybe I think Najee Marshall though could help a contender. I like him a lot
for sure. I actually think he's going to be like, obviously Anthony and Kyrie, like they're the splashier deals, but Najee Marshall could swing like a playoff series for a contender,
100%.
Someone that thinks they're close and one move away. Like he is a really good defender, a connective passer, and like plays really hard. And he's on a like bargain contract, being sub 10 million per year. So I think that's going to be one of the pieces that they really have to play with. Like, just for an example, I think you could send him to a contender and take back a little bit of bad salary and have the contender attach like a first round pick. I think that's a perfectly reasonable like return kind of scenario that they could get into. But he's going to be one to watch for sure, along with AD and Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, this team has such a surplus at the forward position. This is like a perfect team built around Luka. But Luka's not here no more.
Yeah,
but
if only they had a point guard, right?
Right. But I feel like the big name, obviously, to talk about. I mean, before we get to that, actually, Brandon Williams. He's been really good. Signed a minimum deal this year. He's been really good to start. He actually has been starting over D'Lo. D'Lo.
We know D'Lo's. Some Mavs fans have been a little bit frustrated with D'Lo. So
I mean, coming from a Laker fan, I get it. I mean,
I was gonna say that's part of the D'Lo experience.
It is. I mean, I tried telling them over the summer, like, I get the idea of a stopgap, but he's not exactly what you think. Like when D'Lo's hot, he's amazing to watch. Like one of the best players to watch. But when he's up and down like this, it get like his floor is really, really low.
Yeah, you ride the highs as long as you can, and
man,
because the lows can be low sometimes.
No, they're low. Trust me, they're low. But yeah, the big flashy player everybody's talking about, Anthony Davis. If he can get back healthy, I think he can make an immediate impact on a team this year. I know he's aging. He's 32.
He's still an all NBA player, though.
He's still an all NBA player, a two-way player. I don't know. Let's talk about like just hypothetical like AD teams. Like, where do you think you see him fit? Is in the East? Is in the West? What do you think his return value is? Is it a couple first? Are they protected? Like, let's get into that.
Yeah, it's his return value, I think, is the biggest question. And the thing is, like, it can help if he comes back and plays and looks good. But then if he comes back and plays, he could also get injured. And now no one's trading, So it's kind of it's a tough spot to be in. But assuming everything goes well, he comes back within the next week or two, puts together like a good month of basketball where he's, doing what you expect, dominating the glass, being a good rim protector. Hopefully he can get his mid-range jump shot to, come back a little bit. But he can still do all the things you want him to do. Return-wise, it's so tough. Like, you're going to expect some draft capital and you're going to have to take quite a bit of salary back. So probably going to be players you're not going to want to keep around as part of the future. So You probably are going to be looking for some expirings, or
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
you're going to make teams pay you to take their bad salary, especially if you're going to send them a quality player like AD. So I do think there are scenarios where they can get a good return, you know, multiple first round picks and some salary, or maybe a good young player and a couple of picks. But I think you want to get a deal done. If not at the trade deadline, then like this summer. I don't think this is something where you want to be holding on to AD into next season.
Yeah.
The longer that it goes on, the worse, like the age injury, you know, combination is going to get. And then that's going to ultimately hurt your return. So,
well, just to add on to that, I think they have to trade him before the deadline is over. I just think if you go in, like, if he plays on the Mavericks after the deadline, he risks getting hurt. He risks all the value, and I just don't think that's fair to a player like Cooper Flag. Like, this isn't like the 10th or 12th pick in the draft where it's kind of fun. Like, he's hitting a lot better than we thought. No, this is a player that everyone had number one. It was undisputably number one. That they have
who's
him
billed as a
going
generational player, all
generational
that stuff.
player, best player since Anthony Davis, ironically, his teammate as a prospect. Like, this is a player that you have to build around. And the sooner that you could figure out what works around him, the sooner you're going to be back and Mavericks fans are going to be happy again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, everything you do going forward is going to be all about youth. So you're going to be targeting young players, first round picks, players that you can get to slot in next to him. He needs competent point guard play at this stage of his career. He's like, he can
which is
go
okay,
get a
guys.
shot.
Which is okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's kind of caught some flack. Like, there's been bad shooting nights, but like, we weren't saying that he's going to come in and be Kevin Durant and score 30, you know.
Exactly.
He was a like all around player whose honestly his strengths were kind of defense and like rebounding and connectivity and stuff like that. So asking him to come in and be your 1A ball handler and like lead point per game scorer, not really a fair expectation. So
that's not him.
he like the growing pains that he's gone through in the first month. Give him some time, guys. Like, he is going to be okay, I promise. And he's had like good performances too. Like, he's had, you know, 20, 30 point performances as a rookie, and you're going to see more of those. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I think just to add on to that, like, when he was coming into the draft, nobody said, oh, at his peak, he'll be averaging 30 a game. You know what I mean? I think what made him so special, like you said, is his defense paralysis, his rebounding, his IQ, passing the ball, not to the extent of a point guard, but he can pass the ball. They had him a lot, like they comped him a lot to Tatum, which I would agree with. Like, Tatum, now I think you could say he could probably bring the ball up, but it wasn't always like that. So
yeah. Tatum's playmaking has definitely come a long way since his rookie season. So Cooper, if Cooper could follow a similar path, you know, that'd be a great outcome for him. So
so let's go on to AD. So, like, some of the teams rumored, like the first team that comes to mind that's rumored that might be intrigued to Anthony Davis is the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls is a team that
I thought you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, so the Chicago Bulls is a team that you follow. I don't know, where's your thought process on all that. I seen some of the trades. I like some of them. I just want to get your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of it, I think, is stemming from the fact that AD is from Chicago. Like, he, you know, went to high school here, is from here, and has like stated in, you know, previous interviews that one day he would maybe like to play in Chicago. So the problem is kind of what we were talking about as far as a return is you are going to want young players, or if it's bad salary, you're going to want multiple first round picks attached.
Right.
And the Bulls over like the past 4 or 5 seasons have been living with the fallout of the Nikola Vucevic trade, in which they sent out a good young player, Wendell Carter Jr., and multiple first-round picks for an aging all-star. So tell me if that sounds familiar. You want a young player and multiple first-round picks for a player that's aging. So the Vucevic trade hasn't, turned out the best. He's played like good basketball here, but as a team, they haven't gone where they wanted to go since the time of that trade. Now, AD, different caliber player than Vooch. Vooch was not close to AD at his ceiling, so it's not a 1-for-1. And like we talked about, like, do expect AD to be a valuable player going forward. But the whole reason you would make that trade is if you think the trade would put you like significantly into the playoff race, not like, oh, we're going to fight for a 5th or 6th seed. It's like, no, we're going to have home court and we expect to win at least 1 or 2 playoff series. Like, that's why you would go make a trade like that.
Right.
And I feel like the asking price for the Mavericks is going to be so high that when AD gets there, that's not a guarantee. A lot of the packages we've seen are centered around like Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Vucevic, Ayo Dosunmu, all of which are like big rotation players for the Bulls. Patrick Williams to a lesser extent, obviously.
Coming along this year.
Yeah, he's had some moments. We talked about that last time. But no, you want to have enough. If you're the Bulls, when you make that trade, you want to have enough so that when AD gets to Chicago and puts on the black and red, like, there's enough of a team around him and Giddey and Buzelis to, put yourself like squarely into that playoff race. And so I don't know if that's like a realistic expectation. It's kind of like a tough needle to thread where you send out enough where the Mavericks agree to the deal, but you don't handicap yourself in the future and spend all your first round draft capital and end up in a spot where AD is hurt and there's no way out. And now you have young players like Giddey and Buzelis who are kind of wasting years because you're just in a bad spot roster wise.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, I feel like the Bulls, from the trade deadline last year going into this year, they have a lot of momentum, and I just feel like trading for a player like Anthony Davis, I mean, I don't hate it. I like it, but you have to make sure like it fits. Like Josh Giddey works with Vooch because Vooch is a popper.
Yes.
When push comes to shove, when Giddey's at his best, AD's at his best, and Buzelis is at his best, it's all attacking the basket.
Yeah, exactly.
They're on the paint.
Yes.
So I feel like that's where I get a little nervous about. Like on the other side, the Bulls have been seeking for a rim protecting center since Wendell Carter Jr.
And that's what makes it like, that's what gives it legs at all, right?
Yeah.
Is because like when AD is healthy, he is the exact type of player that, like defensively the Bulls have been missing. They've been missing a vertical like lob target. Like Giddey has not had one of those in his time with Chicago. Yeah. Like the closest thing he's probably had is Zach Collins, as crazy as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you see why it's become like a favorite fake trade over the past few weeks.
No, I like the trade, and like the Bulls have a lot of cap space going to next summer. If that's how they chose to use it, I don't hate it. I just want to make sure that they're not ruining anything else that they got going on, because I do like what they're doing, and I think they have a brighter future than people think when they had the Levines, the Carusos, and not getting first for any of them. And
exactly, that's what you just got out of that. You can't put yourself back in that same situation. Now, they're going to have some decisions to make, like Ayo and Kobe are both going to be up for new deals. So.
And I love Ayo. Yeah. I think he could help a lot of teams.
He's a winning player, man. Yeah. Like quietly having a 50, 40, 90 season right now. Just amazing. So, but he's a great player.
In that NBA Cup, he did a hell of a job on Giannis for 3 quarters. And then Giannis woke up. So, I mean, that's saying something. I mean, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I mean, So
Real
we have
quick,
the Bulls. Oh yeah, go ahead.
sorry, John. I do want to talk one more kind of AD destination that I like personally.
Yeah.
I kind of like him in Minnesota.
Oh, that's my next one.
Yeah. So
That was my next one. I love it. Go ahead.
like,
Let me hear it.
yeah. So Minnesota, they've gotten off to a pretty decent start. I think they're like 8-5 or something like that right now. You can fact check me on that, but something just kind of seems like they're not on that top tier of teams in the West.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's OKC and Denver, and then everyone else is just kind of fighting for third place right now.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like Minnesota's getting to a point where they're going to have to make some changes. And like your two big players are, Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. So you don't really want to tweak those guys. They seem like they work together. So then you kind of look down the roster and it's like, Gobert, could we upgrade on Gobert?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what are some of the other things that we could send out? So I like the idea of Minnesota kind of sending Gobert out, bringing AD in, not going to have as much of an offensive burden as he would like on some other teams. Like if for the Bulls, like for instance, he would come in and immediately be the number one offensive option. Right. Like Giddey would run the offense, but AD would be your primary, like scorer. So if he comes to a team like Minnesota, he doesn't have to do that. Ant's still going to do that, and he can be more of a supportive, connecting player who plays elite defense, elite rim protection, but is an offensive upgrade over Gobert.
I absolutely 100% agree with you. I think that this Minnesota is probably my favorite destination for him. Mm-hmm. It sucks because it's in the Western Conference, but this is a team you saw as soon as they got Gobert, they go to 2 conference finals runs, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I know Gobert has his cachet, and a lot of people don't like what he does, but ever since they got him, they've been to 2 conference finals, and I don't think that's a coincidence. And I think if you can if you could upgrade Gobert even more into a more switchy center, and then he could also play the 4-2 or the 4-2. I mean, Nasri plays center, depending on who you like, but that's a good switchy team. You can get there with Gobert, DiVincenzo. Then you
they have some
yourself,
salaries some salaries to play around with, like Dillingham. Like I'm sure Dillingham will probably be, in a deal, especially if the Mavericks are looking for young players that maybe need like a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Put Dillingham in there next to Coop and kind of see like where that works out. So the thing that kind of becomes sticky is Minnesota does not have a ton of draft capital available for trade. So you kind of have to like piecemeal it together, or maybe get a third team involved that can send more draft capital back to the Mavericks. So it's a little bit, it's not as easy of a monetary fit as like the Bulls trade would be. But I think basketball wise, like I think that's where AD would have the best chance to like compete for a championship right off the bat.
Yeah, and I think too, like back to your point with bringing a third team, why does, just to play devil's advocate, on my own favorite trade, why would Dallas want Gobert? They already have Gafford and Lively, and then you ask yourself, like, I mean, it would have to be like a third team involved, which would be great. But the easiest salary to match would be Gobert. It would be interesting, I must say, though, if you put Randall in that, because Randall has a shorter contract, what the package looks like there, because then 80's now playing the 4, which he wants to play.
Right.
And then you got Gobert next to him. That's a pretty suffocating defense. You get to keep McDaniels, Edwards.
Roman on it. Defensively, it would be great. It's just like,
is 80 going to shoot enough threes and make enough?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly. That paint, like, Ant all of a sudden has no room to drive.
He's
you know what I mean?
Threes up again.
Exactly. So,
but I will say, like, their other lineups where they could go let's say it's not DiVincenzo's in the trade. Let's say it's Ant, like Terrence Shannon Jr., Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, AD. Like, if that's your 5 you're rolling out there, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
that's
you would
a
have some
really good
really
5.
interesting like 5-man lineups, if you could get AD on there with, only sending out Gobert and a couple of, smaller salary pieces to make the money match. But it would definitely be the more complicated of those two. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. Any Eastern Conference teams? I feel like the East is kind of better than the West right now from like a overall perspective. Because some of the West teams right now are just not as good as we thought they would be.
yeah, I think they're
Any
just
long
kind of
shots?
for AD.
Yeah,
It's tough because like basketball wise, you could see him fitting on a couple different teams. Like maybe the Hawks decide that they're closer than they thought, and they want to try and upgrade him over Porzingis. But they do some different things. Porzingis is obviously a much better shooter at this stage of their career than AD. Like, I don't know if Boston could take a stab at it and like save him for next season, but they just got out of
the second apron.
Yeah, money's tight. Like Derek White would probably have to be involved in any deal like that.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of basketball fits that make sense, but AD makes so much money. Like, 50 matching salaries for $55 million is it's tough to do without sending out so much that you're kind of hurting yourself.
Yeah,
it has to be a net positive.
Yeah, I
in order to do that.
You want to trade away enough to make the money work, but still have a good enough team to compete for something.
Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Pistons taking stabs on that? I've seen a lot of Pistons and Knicks deals. The Knicks one's kind of confusing to me just because I get the defensive paralysis behind it, but I don't. I think I'd rather, because Cat is up for an extension. I think I'd rather keep Cat from a winning perspective. But what's your thoughts on?
Yeah, I think it's for the Knicks. I think that's all about preference. Like, I think that one's going to be split closer to 50-50. Like, I think some people just don't like Cat is really what it comes down to.
After all that.
Yeah, I think people just tend to dislike Cat. But I'm with you. I would probably stick to Karl Towns as opposed to, go through the hassle of moving pieces around and making money work for AD. I don't know how complicated that one would be. I haven't built that trade out, but fit wise, I think Towns is a better offensive fit. You can kind of put defensive pieces around them with Hart and OG and Mikal, and I think they have enough to win.
Me too.
As is.
At least the East.
Yeah, for sure.
At least the East. Yeah. Do you have anything? I mean, I feel like in the end, I think we can all agree that the Luka trade was probably one of the worst trades in sports. But at the same time, the whole Nico regime wasn't all bad. He did a lot of good things until that point, and I think it's important to recognize it on both sides. The process of the whole Luka trade was questionable, pretty bad.
Yeah.
But they're here. The reality, they can't change it back. I know Mavericks fans want Luka to come back now that Nico's gone. I just don't think that's gonna happen. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the whole thing is just kind of unfortunate because really no one won out of this whole thing. Like, I do want to kind of quickly go back and highlight like a quote that Nico had like at the time of the trade. So it's a little late for this, but we'll do it anyway. Yeah. So he gave the whole, we think defense wins championships. We're bringing one of the best two-way players in the league. We feel like we're built to win now as well as in the future. And I understand the magnitude of it. The easiest thing for me would be to do nothing and everyone would praise me for doing nothing, but we really believe in it and time will tell if I'm right. he
God.
turns out he didn't get enough time to tell if he was right. But
Yeah.
no, we joke and stuff, but I do think the whole situation's unfortunate because, like, obviously Nico, he believed he was doing like what was right for the franchise and for the team.
He didn't know Kyrie was gonna tear his ACL.
Well, yeah, and
You know what I mean?
Luka didn't want to leave the Mavericks. He thought he was going to
Mhm.
retire a Maverick, and then you feel for Mavs fans. So like all
Yeah.
three of the big parties involved, like Nico, Luka, and
Mhm.
Mavs fans, like
Yeah.
nobody got what they wanted out of this. So
Yeah.
it really is just kind of an unfortunate situation. Like
Yeah.
you, like we talked about, you can definitely see the reasons why. Like they kind of came to a point where just difference of like vision for the future of the team, couldn't get Luka to buy in or take care of his body the right way. So
Yeah.
you can see like why Nico was getting frustrated, why he thought it might be a good idea to pivot. But like we talked about, it was where this whole thing breaks down is the process
Right.
and like what you were able to get in return and what your vision was going forward and how it was kind of dissonant, didn't really take, and now we're staring at a 4-11 start and a team with interim president of basketball ops.
Yeah, it's just a like hell of a 10 months for our Mavericks fans. Or I mean, to even take it back even further, like it's been a hell of like year and a half. Like you go to the finals and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're close. And I mean, who's to say? I mean, Luka got in the best shape of his life after he got
Yeah.
traded this summer.
Life
Does that
comes at you
happen if he doesn't
fast.
get traded?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah. Just the last thing. I feel like you said, I feel for Mavericks fans. Like it's very unfortunate, but
No doubt.
you guys got blessed with Cooper Flag.
Yeah. There
Embrace
is
it.
hope.
You don't have to. I don't think anyone deserved to be fired at all. But I think when you're you're at home and they're saying fire Nico. It's hard. That's a distraction. You know what I mean? It's a home game. Like if PJ Washington's at the line, let's not chant that. Like I feel like it was a addition by subtraction type thing.
Yeah.
So we feel for you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys like this video.
Stay strong. Yeah.
Stay strong.
Long season ahead.
Long season ahead. Hopefully you guys get some good stuff for 80, potentially Kyrie, Najee Marshall. Maybe Clay gets traded, maybe bought out. Maybe D'Lo gets traded, maybe bought out. We don't know, but it's in your guys' best interest to try. And yeah, anything else?
No, man. I think we said
We
it
hit
all.
it off.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please comment below your guys' thoughts on the whole Mavericks experience and where they should go from here. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace and stay safe.